Sometimes decisions just have to be made and we just have to start streaming. It's time for Rolling Solo. A weekly, semi-weekly, occasional solo role-playing tabletop RPG type of show where I, Paul, am your humble dungeon master and your humble player. Also known, according to the new thing I'm going to use today, the new system, the master player. So that's awesome. Hi. We're going to be playing Daggerheart again today. We are still in Campaign 2. If you haven't seen Campaign 2, Session 0, I suggest that you check that out. Today we are going to be introducing our main character, Ariane, to our situation and to hopefully our two secondary characters to see how that all works out. So let's get a little bit of out of the way here. Today we're going to be playing Daggerheart, which means that we have to read the Daggerheart disclaimer, which I have right here. Okay. This product was created using the Darrington Press Community Gaming License. The Daggerheart Open Beta Materials are owned and copyrighted by Darrington Press, LLC. All rights reserved. This product is based on the following public game content created and owned by Darrington Press. Daggerheart Open Beta Materials, Darrington Press, LLC, 2024, available at daggerheart.com. Hundreds of pages of content available, including adversaries and maps and a little bit of a setting system, some amazing DM advice, which I will not be taking, and various other things that make this just a great beta. If you get a chance, like this video. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to this video. If you're on Twitch or YouTube, hey, follow me. Why not? What could go wrong? And that's it. Without further ado, let's play some Daggerheart. So we open in a forest. It's evening. We hear sounds of battle. The occasional grunt, cries, no yelling, the sound of steel on steel, the sound of steel on wood. It is evening. There's a road through the trees. As we open, we see a woman running down the road. She's an elf with ashen skin, red eyes, raven black hair. She wears no armor. She carries in one hand a bearded axe, and she is simply dashing along the road in simple leather clothing. She comes upon a scene. There is ahead of her a field of bodies. A tall, sapphire-colored fairy woman stands with an axe in one hand and a shield in the other. She is facing 5 opponents, one standing in the back, behind the action, seeming to sort of direct what's going on. 4 up front, attacking this woman with her. And a fairy in this world is a humanoid of various sizes. It's just a person. The fairy come in many different shapes and sizes. This particular one is almost 6 feet tall. What betrays her fairy ancestry would be the antenna that she has, and also her giant gossamer wings, which are spread out behind her and then tucking in quickly as she attempts to keep them from being injured in this battle. They have been injured before. There are scars and tears. This is a person who has been in many fights. Behind the fairy woman, there is a carriage. The carriage has been knocked over. It is on its side. Or at least it's knocked off. The wheels have kind of collapsed as on one side. The carriage is tilted over. Inside, we see a shape. It could be a woman, a man. It's a humanoid of some description. But it's hard to see in the dimness and in the dim evening light. Ariane, who is the person running down the road with the axe, sees this, and without hesitation, she immediately goes on the attack. So let's go ahead and fade over to our battle camera and have this fight. Okay. Let's get some dice here. Okay. Now, if I remember how Daggerheart combat works, I'm going to need a couple of things here that I have forgotten to pull out because I always forget something. One is my action tracker. One is a bunch of action tokens, and I'm going to need to have some fear. My characters have hope. I start the session with 3 fear. Okay. Let me bring up my character sheets over here. So we're going to start the action with our main character, as one would. So this is Ariane. I don't really have a good many for her, so I'm using this one. Just going to rush to the man standing in the back. Is he a man? Yep. This man standing in the back. She will immediately move in. She is going to attempt to strike him with her battle axe. And we will use... Let's see what she rolls. And she will put a token on the action tracker. Okay, that is a 19 with fear, so I will take another fear. The adversaries will take another fear. But that 19 will definitely hit. So let's roll damage. Battle axe rolls 1d10 plus 2. So let's find a d10 and roll. That is 6, 7, 8. That will cross his moderate threshold, or his major. He will take 2 damage. But now this guy here will go. So this is the Jagged Blade Lieutenant. The Jagged Blade Lieutenant is going to spend one of those fear. Well, he's not going to spend a fear yet, but he can activate So first he's going to take his attack. He sees that he's being attacked. He turns after taking that wicked blow with the axe, whack, and he comes in and he turns and he stabs with his javelin, attempting to hit. That is a 10, which I'm pretty sure will definitely hit. Our evasion is only 6. He rolls 1d8 plus 2 physical damage. That will do 5, which is 5, 6, 7. So that is below Ariane's minor damage threshold, so she will simply take a stress. However, he can activate 2 enemies within minor distance, or within close distance. And I believe that close, it's about, very close is like 5 to 10 feet. Close is probably within 30. So he's going to go ahead and activate 2 lackeys. And those 2 lackeys are going to take their attacks. Actually, one of them is going to break away and move to act in support. One of them is going to tighten in and make an attack. So we'll start with this lackey. Rolls an 11. That will hit. And he just does a straight 3 physical damage, so that's a stress. The second lackey who's been activated will attack the fairy. That is an 11. Minus 2 is 9. That will hit our fairy. And she will take 3 damage, which will cause a stress. That is the adversary's turn. We roll back now to the players. So again, Ariane is going to take her first attack. Well, our fairy did not get an attack. So she is going to take an attack with her hallowed axe, striking at one of these 2 lackeys. That is a 13, and then she will take an action. That is a 13. It is a 13 with hope. So she will take a hope, and she will roll her damage, which is 1d10. She does 3 damage. Because she does 3 damage dealt, she will deal an additional damage to another lackey. So lackeys number 1 and 2 are off the board and join the dead. And because she rolled with hope, we get to continue playing. Ariane continues her concentration on the person she perceives to be the leader of this group. That is a 7. She gets 2 modifiers with that. 8, 9. That will miss, and it misses with fear. So I will take another fear. So in this case, the lieutenant is going to spend his fear. He's going to take an action. He's going to spend a fear. He's going to summon 3 lackeys who will come in at far range. So they will come in from off screen. We will spend another action. Well, I activated this one, so I can activate 2 more. So this lackey will attack. That's a 19. That'll definitely hit. So that does 3 damage. They just do direct damage, which is another stress. I think this guy's close. He's close. So we'll activate the bandit captain, who will take his attack. That is a 5. Or the bandit, his mod is 0, so the 5 misses. And then we will activate our 2 lackeys, who will take their turn to get kind of into range here. They can't attack this turn, but they can move in because they've been activated. And the turn goes back to us. We will go back to our fairy. The fairy will take her attack on the bandit. That is a 19. But with fear. So that will hit. Will roll damage. Let's see, does she have any kind of anything that will help her? Let's see. Well, one thing she can do is she can roll a couple of d4s. Oh, double 4s, and she can store those for future rolls. So that's good to know. Okay. She doesn't have anything that's going to help her with this damage roll right now, which does do 7 damage, which is below his, it's just minor damage. But the bandit does take the minor damage. I think I'm going to go ahead and activate these lackeys. They're going to come in and surround Ariane here. And they will attack. As a 3. -2 is a 1. They do not get a hit. Bummer. Ariane is feeling a little bit desperate here. She is going to continue attacking this lieutenant. That is a 22, but again, with fear. Man, I'm stocked up on fear. So with that 22, she will roll a hit. For sure, that hits. She is also going to become unstoppable. Gaining resistance to physical damage, adding an additional d6 to any damage rolls she makes, and spending stress to reroll any single die she's rolled. She is going to reroll this fear die and spend a stress to do it. Let me pull this 10 out of here. Damn it. All right, well, it's an 11 on the fear die, so we still are rolling with fear. Nothing to be done about it. But now we did hit, so we get to roll damage. That's 1d10 plus 2 plus our d6. Just going to roll our damage. That is going to be 8 plus 2 is 10. Okay, so that is 10 on the lieutenant, which is a severe wound for him. So he will take 3 damage, 3 hit points. He will mark 3 hit points. And she also has an ability called Whirlwind. We'll spend one of her few hopes to, having made a successful weapon attack with melee or close range, she may also spend a hope to use that roll against every other enemy in that weapon's range. Any additional enemies you succeed against with this ability take half damage rounded up. So here's what happens. We have Ariane, this elven warrior with her two-handed, with her battle axe that she's swinging two-handed, and she will, in a whirlwind of motion, slam into the bandit lieutenant, and then turn and just upswing, downswing, whirl, strike with one hand, turn back and face the lieutenant, having defeated these three lackeys. We are going to activate our lieutenant. He is going to attack, and he is going to use his ability to activate the other bandit. That is a 20, a natural 20, which would be something in another system, but is not in this system. He just rolls his damage, which is 1d8 plus 2 physical. 5, 6, 7. Still below Ariane's minor damage, but it does mark her last stress. So she makes this whirlwind of attacks, turns to face this bandit lieutenant, who slips his javelin in, attempting to stab her. She manages to barely block it to the side with the haft of her weapon, and kind of parries the blow a bit, but is starting to wear down with the effort of this combat. The bandit will attack the fairy. It's a 13. He will definitely hit, and do 2d8 physical damage. So 6 and a 4 is a 10. That would be major damage. Ursula, the fairy woman, will mark 1 armor to turn that into a stress. So things are looking up for our heroes. They have managed to clear out a couple of lackeys and make life good. But I have this bucket load of fear that I can do something with. So we will move to our fairy, since she has not gone in a bit. Having taken a vicious blow with a dagger, slips in and barely blocking with her shield, she returns fire with the axe. Rolls a wrong die. That is a 7, which will not hit. But let's see. It won't hit, and even if she uses one of her prayer die, it still won't hit. So that is a miss. The lieutenant is going to make a move here. The lieutenant is going to retreat. Spend a fear. And as he retreats, more lackeys come out of the trees. That will be his turn. I have activated him, so I can activate an additional ally. I will activate the bandit, who rolls a 19. Definitely hits. 2d8s. 7, 8, 9. The fairy will just take that damage. So the bandit starts, the bandit lieutenant begins retreating back. As he retreats back, we Yeah, he's still there. And at the same time, this bandit begins moving this way, attempting to join the retreat, but continues to engage and manages to slip his dagger past the fairy woman's shield and do some damage to her. Ariane is having none of this. She will pursue this bandit and attempt to finish him off. That is a 9 with hope. So we'll take a hope. That 9 is a miss. The lackeys will activate. They will move in from their range. They will again attempt to surround and attempt to hit. There's an 11 that will definitely hit. They just do 9 damage, just straight up. And Ariane is out of stress, so she will just take a hit point right there. But play returns to the players. Ariane continues to attack Bandit Lieutenant. That is an 18 with fear. And she will roll her damage. She rolls a d10 and a d6 plus 2. 2 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4 damage. Her bandit marks a stress. So she comes in, but again, facing so many enemies, feeling kind of stressed out, she manages a strike but sort of misses. And play returns to the bandit. Actually, these lackeys are liking what they're doing. They're just going to take another attack. On an 18, they definitely hit. They just do another 9 damage. And this bandit captain will attempt to retreat, but this time, as he attempts, he can attempt to retreat. He can activate, attempt to retreat. They can attack to try to cover his escape. I am going to give a chance for Ariane to hit him on his way out. And that is a 15, and it is with hope, so I think that she gets that hit. It's her last chance to get this guy. She rolls her d10 or d6 plus 2. That's a 7 and a 6. So that is a 13, 14, 15. And she has a hope to spend, which she will spend on the lackeys. So this is going to be a boss-ass move. As this guy begins to retreat back again, Ariane lunges, plants the axe solidly in his head, whips it out of his head, turns around, slams it into the second lackey, grabs one of the other ones, slams him into the axe itself, and then with the spike on the end of the axe, jabs it into the final lackey's throat. And in a whirlwind of action and motion, she brings all of these opponents down. And it will now be the fairy's turn. She rolls a 16 with hope to attack the bandit in front of her, doing 9 damage, which will go above his moderate threshold. He will take 2. That was with hope. Ariane will turn I believe she can easily cover this distance and make her own attack. Make sure I give hope where hope is due. That is a 20 with fear. So it hits, but this is our last damage. That is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And that will end this fight. So this bandit is attempting to back out of this situation. He has daggers, he's facing an axe and a shield, feeling like he's outclassed. He never even sees it coming as Ariane simply walks up behind him and plants an axe in his skull, the battle axe, the giant bearded axe, cleaving his head from his shoulders and bringing him to the ground. And that will close out this particular battle. And that will end our scene. We'll end our battle scene. Okay. So there's a quiet moment as this bandit's head has parted from his shoulders. He has slumped to the ground. Just and our fairy woman is somewhat covered in blood. There's a lot of blood that happens when someone is decapitated. And there's blood everywhere. There's gore everywhere. The fairy and Ariane are both relatively unscathed, but certainly quite tired. Breathing heavily, the two women stare at each other over this kind of battle in the waning evening light. There's a moment of expectant silence as each one tries to figure out which one of them is going to talk first in this odd situation. The fairy elects not to say anything. She simply nods her head in respect, hooks her axe back onto her belt, stows her shield. This is one fluid motion. Turns. Actually, this shield you'd have to tuck because it's got to go under the wings. And turns to the cart. And just, looks inside and, are you all right? There's a voice from inside the cart that's, some high-pitched, and clearly now there's a young woman inside the cart. Says, I'm fine. What the hell? And is it safe? I think so. Yes. This is one moment. And then she will turn and fix fix Ariane with a look. And there's no mechanic for this in Daggerheart. However, I'm going to make something up. do have an awful lot of fear, but she has an awful lot of hope as well. So, oops. So she wants to know if she can trust this person. So our fairy woman, whose name we do not know yet, begins to pray. And with those 2 4s on the prayer dice, I'm going to say the question that she has is, can I trust this person? And it really comes down to, is she going to roll with hope or is she going to roll with fear? And she's going to have to expend a prayer dice to make this guess. She rolls with fear. So at the moment, with an insight roll, well, okay, so let's say that it's a 9 and a 7. So that is a 16. Expending a prayer die, that's a 20. But it's a 20 with fear. So with fear means that she gets what she wants, which is a sense that she can trust this person, but I think it's just going to cost us stress. It's just the effort of sort of trying to make this call here and now is just stressful. It just makes her stressed out. So she turns and says back into the carriage, yes, but because of the stress in her voice, the person inside the carriage isn't trusting that and will remain in the carriage for the moment. And Ariane will also have the feeling that, whereas there's a yes, I can trust them, I can trust this person, the fact is, as someone who just came into a situation and saved their lives, she's also hearing that hesitation and feeling a little put off. So Ariane will turn, stow her own axe on, yes, visually it's cooler to put an axe on your back, but in terms of just practicality and moving around, I'm told that it's better to sheath things on the hip. That's just what I've heard. And begin examining the bodies. Clearly somewhat offended. There are fences to be mended here. She goes to the bandit lieutenant. She's going to make a knowledge roll to examine this body and see if she can determine anything about them. Okay, dude, you have to decide on DCs before you make rolls. I'm going to say this is a DC 10. It's not very difficult to find what she's looking for. What she's looking for has to do with her backstory, but I'm going to explain that hopefully later. This is important to know, however. So she will examine this body for a 10. That is a failure on a 7 with fear. And the complication there is obvious for me. So does not find what it is looking for on the bandit body. And the natural consequences of that are very consequential for our story and will be. And because remember, at this point, we don't know anything, you don't know anything about this character. We just know that she has come into the scene, is beginning to look at these bodies. But now she is frustrated and angry and slams her axe into the tree next to her. It's going to be at this time that our fairy woman is going to finally decide that it's time that she introduces herself. So she looks down at the bandit, the regular standard bandit, and looks up at Ariane and says, I'm sorry, thank you. I think this would have been a much worse situation. Well, thank you. And she will make a presence roll. And I will say, just to see how well she does it. There's not much player versus player in this game, but this isn't really player versus player. I'm saying that this is like, well, we'll go with the 10 here. All right, that is a 16 with hope. So, she does this well. Her presence is strong here. She's coming across as warm. She's coming across as genuine. It's actually an 18 with hope. So seeing the opening, and she continues the conversation. My name is Ursula Franzdottir. Who do I have the honor of addressing? You're pretty damn handy with an axe. Who are you? I am no one particularly important. I just saw 5 against what I thought was 1. And that didn't seem fair. That didn't seem right. So, I like to fight. And this was oh hell, I couldn't watch. All right. Well, what are we going to be doing? And looking around, you can see that the horses have long gone. This was a large company. There's bodies everywhere. And both bandits and soldiers. She just looks around and says, okay. Makes a snap decision. Will you accompany us forward down the road? We're headed for Trefoya. I just came from Trefoya. We can pay you, but I don't know if we're clear in these woods or if there are more of them, and we're going to have to walk. Well, sure. Great. and thank you. Negotiations are made. We don't really worry about too much about gold in this game in terms of how much, so she just hands her some. She raps on the door, says, Colbrow, come on, we've got to walk. And the door of the carriage opens, and this is our first glimpse at who is inside. Who is inside is a young orcish woman. She has, I guess orcs in this world have gray skin, so, and orcs in my world have green skin, so these are green-skinned orcs. She has a greenish skin, small tusks, and she is small. She stands easily a head shorter than this fairy woman, Ursula. Colbrow is scrawny, almost emaciated. She's dressed in well-tailored but sturdy traveling clothes, but is just, for an orc, small. Small of frame, small of stature, slightly underfed, even a little bit gaunt. Unlike almost any other orc that you would have seen. She lacks the size and breadth of her brethren. But she steps out of this carriage and looks with interest at Ariane and says, well, I'm not traveling with anyone whose name I don't know. So if you do want the gold, you will at least give us your name. Ariane Chopin. Cavier then. Not anymore. So, and the word that we just heard was cavied, or cavied, or cavade. Haven't figured out how to pronounce it yet. C-A-V-A-E-D-E, which you will find out what that is later. There is a bit of a montage scene here as we bundle up things, gather things up, and with a couple of, traveling packs, our small band of adventurers begins making their way down the road. And that will close this scene. So I guess one question that we should ask is, do they make it to the next town without being bothered? And I think this is very likely. So I just want to use the new system here a little bit. So I think it's very likely that this would happen. So we will add a where is it? Add the modifier according to the table. It's a modifier is based on our chaos level. I'm going to say our chaos level is, say, 3. So if it's very likely, we add nothing to our roll. Interesting. I feel like we should add something. We can if we want to add more chaos. Let's just see what we get. That's a 16. So according to the way that this works, on a 16, nothing happens, and they are able to walk down the road to the next town and see where they're at. So to give you an idea of where we are, we are here. This is the western continent, eastern continent of our world. We are walking through this forest on our way to this town here called, to the town called Trefoya. So that's just kind of a bit of placement. If this were an Indiana Jones kind of thing, we could, show the map and have that walk going on. We will skip the scene where we arrive in town. We will kind of montage through the idea that we are going to acquire rooms. People are going to clean up. Ursula has a conversation with Kolbrau, and they then approach Ariane and say that they would like to talk to her in the morning, and discuss some things with her. And then we're going to have a scene between Ursula and Kolbrau. So, they had some time walking. One thing, so we will be in an interior room in an inn. So this would be a reasonably well appointed. This is obviously something that has been paid for. There is there's a small sitting area. There is a bit of a fire. There are I would say this is like this suite type of this type of place. So they're in a sitting area. A hotel servant knocks on the door. They open the door. There's a small selection of food that is given to them. Ursula brings food and puts it on a table that is in the center of the room. Kolbrau comes, is comes down, also enters the room, or she's already in the room, standing by what seems to be kind of a small wash basin, and sort of just wiping the road grime off her face. What we'll notice as an audience is that as she does this, her left hand, she's definitely favoring her left side. It is almost where she's doing almost everything with her right hand and leaning very heavily to her right, trying to keep her weight off her left leg, trying not to use her left arm. And as she turns to go and sit at the table with Ursula, she will grab a cane that we've not seen before from the side of the wash basin and use it. She grabs it with her right arm and uses it to kind of support her weight as she moves forward. Because that's how you're supposed to use a cane, apparently. It says that side support. Ursula says, you need to work. the left side as much as possible. I have worked the left side as much as possible today. God, we just walked 5 miles. It was only 2 miles at most. Okay, but it was tough. I'm not used to that kind of thing. No. You're stronger than they give you credit for, child. So what do we do now? We've lost so many men. Yes. That is up to you. You know as well as I do that, well, I will give you the tactical situation. Okay, Princess, here's what's happening. We are a 3-day journey from the capital. We are a 3-day journey from, ooh, I need the name of this town. Yes, I had it written down and I looked it up and all that, but all right. We're 3 days from the coast. We are 3 days back to the capital. We should have protection in either place. We can certainly attempt to gather more guard here, but this mission was supposed to be a secret. Someone somewhere betrayed us, and I think perhaps if we passed through Trefoya without giving any sign that we were here, I don't know that anyone recognized you coming in. Of course they didn't. No one would recognize me. You are the youngest daughter, but you're still one of the daughters of the House of Einar. And don't forget that. We can go forward. Make our way to Fejavik. Catch our boat. Send back to the capital for more men. More soldiers. Keep to our schedule. I don't know that those were random bandits, but I didn't find anything on them. Actually, we never checked to see whether Ursula did find anything on them, so let's find out if she did. Ursula will make a... She will make a knowledge check. We will say our DC on this is, we said 10 before. She's looking for something more specific, so we'll say 15. That is a 15 with hope. I'll tell you something, Princess. We were meant to die. But sign was meant to be left that those men were sent by the kingdom of Carax. But I saw on one of the men something I've seen before. It's a tattoo on the wrist that has a symbol that is associated with, well, we believe that the society is associated with the theocracy. I think that this was a setup, and that Haldor meant to stop this wedding. And I think the best thing we can do is to continue forward as fast as we can and give them as few opportunities that we can to stop us. I think there's nowhere that you're going to be safer. You would be safer at home, but the second safest place to be is in uh, another big castle, right? And that's where we're headed. So let's do that thing. You think someone was trying to assassinate me? Yes. I think someone was trying to assassinate you. Stop the wedding. Divide the kingdoms. Is that so hard to believe? I'm not used to being important. No, you're not. So what do we do with this Ariane? She's damn good with that axe. She seems to have good instincts. I don't relish the idea of being your only protector. Do you think, well, can we trust her? I think we can. Not many strangers would just jump into a fight like that. I mean, she had no reason to do it. She just did. Okay. Well, then I think we should. So, we need a complication in this scene. I don't think we get one. I think they just come to the conclusion that they're going to invite Ariane to join them. Oh, we're at an hour, so that's where we'll close it. What has happened in this episode? We had a fight. We had a walk to an inn. We are going to open. We had a conversation between two characters. We have learned a couple of things. We have learned that Colbrau is a princess. We're not sure who she's a princess of, but she's a princess. She is getting married. This is a marriage of a political alliance that is necessary between the kingdom that she's a princess of and another kingdom known as Kirags. We have learned that there is a third party, the Olhaldar. That nation may have been involved in this assassination attempt on the princess in an attempt to divide the kingdoms, and Ursula has reason to believe that Kirags was meant to be blamed. We know that our main character, Ariane, is not part of any of these groups. That her adventure is going to be slightly different. And so we're going to close in another room in the inn, a much more modest room, where our elf stands. She is sitting in. She's taken off, some of her leather, but is her outer coverings, and is dressed in more sleepy type clothes, or just has taken off her outer covering of leather and is in her inner covering of leather, and is sharpening her axe. And as she sharpens the axe, we zoom in on her eyes, we fade back, and we see flashes of a fight in a different place. In this fight, we see um, a bear of a man, a bear of an elf, really, laying about him with a two-handed pole arm, just taking enemies out left, right, center. Uh, we see him, there's a backing of two or three warriors, among whom is Ariane, none of them armored, all of them, using some with swords, some with axes, but their backs are to each other and they are facing a number of enemies coming at them. There's a rain of arrows, 10, 12 arrows coming in. Two men fall. We zoom out a bit and we see that this group was perhaps a group of about 6 when they were first ambushed, and are now down to just the 2. It's just Ariane standing with her back to this man, both facing, looking. Another chorus of arrows comes in. The 2 of them embattled, but look, see where the archers are coming from, and with blood-curdling yells, both of them laying about their axes, take out their immediate enemies, charge towards these archers. As they go, they, the arrows are still falling, but now they're running, and so they're much harder to hit. They are being pursued, but at some point they are in the scene. They are brought to bay, and one of their attackers swings. Ariane is facing another way, is completely exposed. This man blocks that blow with his axe haft, looks down and grins at her, and then an arrow goes through his neck. And he's been cut, bruised. His clothing is in tatters at this point. And he just drops to his knees, struggles to fight. And then Ariane is just cut down from behind. She takes a blow into her back and just falls forward and lies on the ground. And as she lays there kind of bleeding out, she sees an arm come down, and she sees a tattoo on the inner wrist of this individual as they grab a chain that's around the man's neck, pull it off. And that is where we end this episode. So that's our story that's going on. Thanks for watching. And we'll continue telling this story with dice, and maybe working in some more mechanics and less dialogue, because that was awkward for me. Or more dialogue if it becomes less awkward for me. Who knows? It's my show. I'll do what I want. And we will try to figure out where they are headed next week. If you are a fan at all of the graphic design on this shirt, you can buy one or buy another one that is much like it, or buy other ones that are nothing like it but are much cooler at etsy.com/shop/solidsoftdesign. If you are a fan of telling stories to yourself, pick up a good role-playing kit and do that. think, yeah, that's that. Keep rolling.